Hey, Boaz here with Next Pittsburgh. We're here in Latrobe at St. Vincent College to check out the Fred Rogers Institute. We're getting a behind the scenes tour with Emma Lee, who's the associate director here. Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you for coming. We're really excited to welcome you here.
Well, I'd heard this was here for so long, but this is my first time checking it out. So there's like a little Fred Rogers museum here.
Yes, yeah, we have this is the Fred Rogers exhibit. We welcome anyone to come anytime. It's open and free to the public.
Well, let's check it out. Already, we're walking in and I see the cardigans.
Yeah, so right here, these sweaters. Everybody recognizes the red sweater, of course. That's kind of Fred's color that has come to be. But little fun fact, the purple sweater is actually the one he wore most often on the show. And then also, as you move your way through the exhibit, here we talk about Fred growing up. This is the original Fred Rogers neighborhood. He grew up here in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And so this is an area you can learn a lot about that and kind of the things that formed Fred into who he was. There are so many people in this area in particular who know so much about Fred. There are some stories in everybody in this area has a Fred story, right? Like so many people got to meet him, but I would challenge all of you to still come because there's probably something in here that you don't know yet. A very familiar sight over here is
The trolley. Oh, wow. So this is like the actual trolley that was on the show?
this is the trolley. That's right. This is the trolley from the episodes. Downstairs, we actually have the Celeste, which is like a piano that made the original tune, the ding ding. And then right behind us, we have these friends.
So many characters from the land of make believe.
Yes, yes. So Daniel Striped Tiger, of course, who now lives on today in Daniel Tiger's neighborhood. It's a lot of fun to have little kids come and visit us and they connect to Daniel Tiger and then to get to have that connection to this Daniel Tiger that started it all.
It's like nice, so cool to see that craftsmanship on, XEL. It's just like you can just see how they like cut the felt with those like crafty, jagged scissors.
Yes, so I'm really glad you noticed that because it's reminding me when Tom Hanks was here to film the movie, a team of really specialized puppeteers came to the Institute and it was one of, it might have been the only time since this was put in place that we opened up the glass and they had the chance to really study the puppets so they could recreate new puppets for the movie. And these puppeteers were noticing that these puppets are really like handmade from just kind of normal craft items. They pointed out like on King Friday, the tassels, those are just normal size tassels from a craft store.
And now we're getting into sort of more about the work that you do at the Institute.
That's right. So beyond the neighborhood, the impact of Fred's work. So when Fred retired from television, he wanted to continue to work in some way for the benefit of children and specifically wanted to work with children's helpers. So he chose to place his archive here at St. Vincent College. This is his hometown. He was very close friends with the arch abbot at the time. So he established his archive here and had planned to actually teach classes in child development to students who would go on to work with children in their careers. And so today, we still work with St. Vincent students. We have a Fred Rogers Scholars Program, which is a 4-year scholarship. We also do a lot of professional learning, community building, and resource development for educators and other children's helpers.
And you're also like the main repository for all of Fred Rogers' archive. So if people have a question, if they're doing research, like you're the person they turn to.
That's right. So the archive is free. It is an open and living resource. Emily is our archivist, and you can just directly reach out to her and set up a time to come and study in the archive. So this is the gathering space. This space was originally designed to actually be where Fred would live a couple of days during the week when he was here teaching classes on campus.
Like live in terms of there would be like a bed in here?
Yes, yes. He was going to live here for 2 to 3 nights a week and teach and then head back to his Pittsburgh home with Joanne. So today we call this the gathering space, and it's a special space where we meet with people. But I especially want you to see these pianos. So this is Joanne Rogers' piano. She was actually an incredibly accomplished musician. And then Fred's piano, where he composed so much of the music for the show. And this is how they had their pianos set up in their apartment in Pittsburgh. They would play duets together. And if you ever get the chance to listen to some of the recordings of them playing together, it's really, really special.
So how soon after Fred died was this space completed?
Yeah, so it was not long. It was a pretty short window between he passed away pretty quickly. It was a pretty quick progression, and the Fred Rogers Institute was really started in 2003, and so this space was still the original plan was still kept. It was still kind of kept to honor that intention that Fred had. So I'll bring you through here and introduce you to Emily Urin. She's the senior archivist for the Fred Rogers Archive. She's been here for quite a while and truly is the most knowledgeable person about Fred Rogers that lives today. So I'll pass you off to her and she'll have some fun stuff to show you.
Well, thanks so much. Hey, Emily. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming. Glad you're able to visit today.
How long have you worked here?
I started as an intern in 2006, so getting close on 20 years. So I've been working on cataloging the collection ever since then, and we still continue to receive new boxes in all the time. So it's a really dynamic position. It's a lot of fun.
And so what have you pulled for us today?
Yes. So I pulled some really good examples of Fred's work and how he worked. You can see that Fred started everything off with handwritten versions. He liked to use yellow legal pad, lots of times blue pen, and he would kind of handwrite out his thoughts, maybe starting with kind of a stream of consciousness. You can see, like, for instance, the speech here is his first draft, and his
Wow, he's really editing pretty seriously here. There's a lot of mark out. Really nice handwriting, though. Well, this is obviously like a pretty big deal over here. These are like the lyrics and the music to the theme song.
Mhm. So this was 1963, and this is when he was in Canada producing Mr. Rogers there, and then making the transition back to Pittsburgh and starting Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. In Canada, it had a different theme song. So I think as he was transitioning back to Pittsburgh, he was thinking a different
Right.
opening song, and then of course this is the one that we all know. He didn't just like write a bunch of songs all at once and say, okay, these are the songs for the neighborhood. It grew throughout the years, and he was always writing new music.
Well, and this is sort of symbolic of a big moment in children's television history, sort of.
Right. So this is from when Big Bird visited the neighborhood of Make Believe during competition week of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. There was an art contest going on in the neighborhood, and Big Bird visited and brought his submission. This is a really cool piece to have, like, once you know the significance behind it.
Was this like he's working on an episode of the show, so he has like all his notes here?
Yeah, so this was for Music Week, which was one of the most popular theme weeks of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It seems to be one that a lot of people remember. This was written on an airplane because this is one of the bags that you get at.
Oh, it's like a barf bag. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Then there's some initial ideas for what he would want to include. Costa Negri's music shop. Reardon, who was one of his good friends, who starred in a lot of the operas. So we've got a whole stack of notes here, and then
This is all for Music Week.
yes, and then we go into actual scripts. So it's interesting to see the process, what the original ideas were, how they changed, what worked out, what didn't.
Well, this is so cool to see. I mean, the handwriting and sort of peer into his mind a little bit. What a cool thing. Thank you so much for showing us around, Emily.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for coming.